Hey guys, so there are a few things that I wanted to show you guys here on Desmos. So why don't I share my screen and let's get started here. So why don't I just type in a random function like a parabola, let's say, okay? And let's say that you want to point to follow the pattern of the parabola. So I would create an ordered pair, and then what you can do is here type in like A and then type in F of A. And you create a slider, and if you push play, you notice that the point is going to trace the path of the parabola. If you don't want the point to move so far left and right, limit how far to the left and how far to the right it can go. So if I go from -2 to 2, you see the parabola or the point is limited, its motion from -2 to 2. If you don't want it to go left and right, if you only want it to go in one direction, here where it says that, click on just this arrow, and that'll just go from left to right. And then when it disappears, boom, left to right. You can speed up the process by doing this. And you know how just one point, it looks kind of like faint? What you can do is you can make many copies of your point, watch, boom, 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 boom. And the more points you make, sort of the bolder it gets. And let's slow it down here, like that. And there it is, you see that? You see how it's really bold because you made many, many copies of the same object. So what if we look at something else here? What if now I show you guys how to hide some of the distractions? You see, if you were to click here on the wrench, if you were to unclick the grid and the axis numbers and the X and Y axis, you can see just the actual stuff you've typed in. So that's one way that you guys can hide all of the distractions. Now, another thing I want to show you guys is how to fill in your background. Let's say that you don't want a fancy background. You just want the background to be completely, let's say, blue. If you type in Y is greater than, let's say, 4, then you'll have a color. If you want to change the color, go here and change the color to whatever color you want. Now, if you don't want the line to show there, then instead of 4, change a number that's like way off the grid, like -400. It's way at the bottom, so you don't see the line itself, you just see the shaded. Now, that's one way of shading. Let's say now that you wanted to make some multiple cuts. So what if I have a circle? Let's say a circle like this. Okay, so let's go x squared plus y squared equals, let's say 20. And let's say that you want to change it to like RCHS purple. Now let's suppose that you wanted to make some cuts like, let's say you wanted to trim off this part here. Like you wanted to cut it at 3 and you want to keep the stuff before. So I would go in a curly brace, x less than 3. But now let's say that you wanted to cut the top part of this picture. Let's say you wanted to cut it at 3 and above. You can also make multiple cuts on the same line like this. Y is less than 3. You see how I made a cut like this sideways, and then I made a cut like vertically. So what I want to show you is that you can make multiple modifications. You can modify not only the domain, but also the range on the same line. Just make sure that whatever restrictions you want on your domain and range, that you make them on the same line as the actual equation. So let's say I remove that, and let's say that I bring the whole circle back in. Let's say you want to make a cut here and then make a cut there. So just type in the numbers from where and where you want to make your cuts. You see that? So you've cut it from -2 to 2. So that's how you can cut things in multiple directions. Another thing that I want to show you is how to move a picture. Let's say that if you click on the plus sign, if you click image, let me just add like this Hellcat. Let's say you want the Hellcat to move. Well, if you want the Hellcat to move, you have to give it a shape to trace. So what if I bring in a parabola, g of x equals, let's say x to the power of 2. Let's make it negative upside down. Let's say you want the Hellcat to move along the parabola, but you don't want to see the parabola. In order to do that, go to the picture here and click on the center, and then type in like A, and then for the y coordinate, type in g of A. I typed in g because the name of the equation is g, and A because that's the slider that I use for the x coordinate. And then push play, and you see the Hellcat is actually tracing the shape of the parabola. If I pause it, and if I zoom in on the picture itself, I can make it smaller by going like this. Okay, and if I zoom out, let me actually pinch the y-axis with my fingers. So I'm compressing the y-axis. And let me zoom back in. And let me make the picture look a little bit nicer. And now what I want to do is I want to hide the parabola and I want to push play. So you see the parabola is gone, but the Hellcat is still pretending that it's there. And the Hellcat is following the parabolic trajectory. So hopefully that this video added a few more tips and tricks. I have way more things to show you, but let me know what else you want to see and I'll make some more videos.